The trailer for this story was so, enhancing and entrancing. I said, you know what? I'm going to watch that on Netflix, but I want to read the book first. There's characters that in part one you love and you're fighting for, and others you despise. And then by part two, your mind is blown. Some books where I've read to almost the end of the book and it's like, okay, now you get excited. Here is the book that I do not advise anyone to pick up because I feel it's a waste of your time. Hi Bookaholics, this is Deirdre Pippins. For my followers, welcome back. So glad to have you here and for all of your support. And for anyone who's stopping by and may be new, this is your spot for author interviews, book news, and book reviews. So with that said, please like this video and all my videos as a matter of fact if you have the time to do so. But please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate your support. It would help me greatly on my channel if you would simply subscribe. If you're a book lover and like the things I just said, author interviews, book news, book reviews, you can find them here. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that you can be aware whenever I post new videos. This is your spot also for book news on Mondays, book reviews on Wednesdays, and author interviews on Fridays. Okay, so let's get down to it. So my summer 2024 reading wrap up. First of all, let me just say it was fantastic. I picked out some wonderful, wonderful books that I think some of you will also enjoy. Okay, and so basically they all had a common theme. So stick to the end of this video to find out the common theme, but also find out which was the worst book that I read this summer and why you should not buy it. Okay, so let's get started. These are in no particular order. These are just simply books that I did read this summer. And I'll start with Lies and Weddings by Kevin Kwan. Kevin Kwan is the master of what I would call luxury jet-setting genre. Now, that may not be anything new to you, or that may be a new term to some of you. But I'm going to repeat, luxury jet-setting drama. I think I just created a new genre, okay? And he is the current master of that. You can look back to the past of people like Judith Krantz or maybe Jacqueline Suzanne, who were writers from the 60s and 70s and 80s, who wrote all of these jet-setting novels of people from rags to riches, and they would jet all over the world and build businesses and all this type of thing. Well, Kevin Kwan, while his books are slightly different than those, it still is the luxury world. He builds the world of luxury, glamour, immense wealth among the Asian American set. And they jet set all over the world. They can buy anything, and they, have the best of educations. So if that type of storyline is what you like, I suggest that you read all of Kevin Kwan's books. But this standalone and not part of Crazy Rich Asians whole series, this is a standalone book and it is wonderful. My review is thumbs up, 5 stars, fire, fire, fire. It's absolutely wonderful. It gives you all of that luxury reading, and also it has different characters and you can see the development of characters, And it's just a wonderful story. It's just a wonderful story. There's villains in the story. There's a character you will despise. There's two characters that you will completely despise, and there are two characters that you will completely love. And so I would term it not only the luxury drama type of reading, jet set drama, but I would also term it as a relationship, kind of not thriller as it were, but there's a little mystery to it as well. So it's a relationship, tiny bit mystery, but definitely luxury, jet setting drama. Kevin Kwan, master of it. If you haven't read Lies and Weddings, please pick it up now. The next book that I read, or like I said, this is not in any order, but it's called The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hilderbrand. The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hilderbrand. And Ellen Hilderbrand, she's a writer that you always see, whether on the New York Times bestseller list, or you see her name at the library or in bookstores. She's been writing for quite some time, and I do believe she has been writing books that take place in Nantucket, and this is one of those books. It was a few years back, maybe pre-pandemic, that this book was written, but what caught my eye about it and why I picked it up is I saw that coming on Netflix, I believe that's the streaming service that it'll be on, coming on Netflix, they're going to do a limited series of The Perfect Couple. And the trailer for this story was so, enhancing and entrancing. I said, you know what? I'm going to watch that on Netflix, but I want to read the book first. So I picked this book up before I went on vacation at a Barnes & Noble in Connecticut. And I am so glad I did. First of all, it validates, at least for me, that Ellen Hilderbrand is a writer worth reading. She is a masterful writer. So if you've never read her, as I had never read her books until The Perfect Couple, she's just a master storyteller. And this, again, is a relationship thriller, and you will love it. There's different characters. They all have their I won't say they all have their good points and bad points, but they look perfect on the outside, but they're not perfect on the inside, as most relationships are. But this is a wonderful book, a relationship thriller that takes place in Nantucket surrounding an upcoming wedding, and it is awesome. It's really, really good. So this is another book that you should definitely pick up. Again, Ellen Hilderbrand is a new author for me, so I'm glad I discovered her, although she's been around for, I'm thinking, a couple of decades. The next book I read is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Again, another new writer for me. And again, another relationship thriller and masterful writer. These books that I've just told you about so far had me from page one. Okay, so that is to say that about all these books. They had me from page one. And again, a relationship thriller. There's characters that in part one you love and you're fighting for, and others you despise, and then by part two your mind is blown, because just like in life, we only see typically one dimension of a story. We don't see the full scope of a story, and this is what this particular book brings to you. So I advise you to pick this up. The Housemaid is part of a trilogy, I guess a trilogy so far. There are two other housemaid books with the same housemaid. I would have picked those up yesterday when I went book shopping, but I did not. You know why? Because I didn't like the way that they had bound the second paperback book. It didn't flow like the first one. It was easy to spin and turn and open the book. I didn't like the binding. So, that kept me from picking that up. But I probably will get the second and third Housemaid. But what I did do was pick out the newest paperback for Frida McFadden called The Perfect Son. And that's a standalone outside of the Housemaid series, so I'm going to give that a try. All right, next and last is The Island Villa by Sarah Morgan. And Sarah Morgan is another writer that has tons of books. I think she's like a USA #1 bookseller. So she's been out there with a series of books. Her books have lovely covers, by the way, just simply lovely covers. And she's out of the UK. So if you go to her website, you'll see where she's got different covers for the different continents. British Isles has one type of cover and the United States has a different type of cover. And so I read that. Again, this is a book that is based on romance and a mother-daughter relationships dynamic. So also it's very good. She's another masterful writer you can easily follow. This one did not have me from page 1 because the characters I thought were sometimes a little immature in some of their thinking, and so they were turning me off. But as I started to proceed to roll with it and stuck with it, it began to show me the development of the character, and that was important to the story. Okay, so, definitely I didn't have to wait to page 100, let's say, to find that out. I was able to pick that up pretty early in the book. So it wasn't like some books where I've read to almost the end of the book and it's like, okay, now you get exciting. But anyway, yes, so I have also subsequently purchased more books by Sarah Morgan, including one, she writes kind of like this, just like regular books, maybe summer books, and it seems like Christmas books. So that seems to be her thing. And then I also have pre-ordered her new Christmas book that will debut sometime in October. So that'll be upcoming. So let me know if you want me to do some individual videos on some of these authors, more exploring, say, Frida McFadden or Sarah Morgan. Just let me know down below if you want me to create some videos about these authors, which I consider super. So, like I'm saying, here is the book that I do not advise anyone to pick up because I feel it's a waste of your time. And if you've read this book and didn't feel it was a waste of your time, also post down below that I'm completely wrong and I shouldn't bash this book. But this book is American Beauty. And you see the cover here, it's very enticing. I like historical fiction, but this was actually based on a real person. And the book was just a flat line for me. It's not that it wasn't well written. It was well written, but it was just a flat storyline. It never did go way up and then come back down or dip down and come back up. It just was flat. It didn't get exciting to almost the last 30 pages. And I thought it was a shame because this was based on a very dynamic, real person who had a life on controversy. And they address all of that, but just the story was just very flat. So anyway, that's my opinion. Sorry to bash a book, but anyway, it took me a long time to get through the book. It was sort of definitely a waste of my time. But there you have it. That is my summer 2024 reading wrap up. You still have time. It's still summer, even though you see in the stores Halloween and maybe even hints of Christmas and all your fashions are talking about fall fashions. You still have some summer left to pick up these books. I do believe voracious and avid readers can read all 4 of the books that I am presenting. You can read them before September 22nd, which is the first day of fall. Okay, pick them up, and there'll be links to the books down below as well. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good day. See you in the next one.